If you expose children in the right way, they will connect to spirituality because they're already quite innocent. Suddenly, when you go to this level of devotion, spirituality, which is so unknown to most people, he just becomes a family member. He's yours to play with.
Yeah.
If you have pure love, he will do what you tell him.
Yeah.
If you have the worst of voices, but there is love, right? He will hear something very different, right? So it doesn't matter like whether you're ugly, whether you're fat, whether you can cook, whether you can sing. All these things are very secondary things. There's only one thing that will connect you to him, and that is the condition of your heart.
Oh, welcome to The Search for Wellness, the podcast where we explore what it truly means to live a healthier, more fulfilling life. Each episode, we dive into inspiring stories, eye-opening conversations, and practical tools to help you nourish your mind, strengthen your body, and uplift your spirit. This is your space to learn, grow, and discover new ways to thrive one step at a time. I'm so happy you're here today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm not good at these things, but I'll try. Businessman, I guess. That's one side of my life. Family man, of course, wife and 2 kids. And then a spiritual side in the sense that practitioner, been trying to develop myself spiritually, been reading ancient texts, in a more focused way since I was about maybe 18. Now I'm 41, so 23 years.
Nice. And that's why I really wanted you here, because I've heard you speak, I've seen you speak, and I think that you have such profound knowledge, and you have knowledge that we all need today. I feel like we all need this kind of knowledge today.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is, that's something that I feel that if you get the right kind of spiritual structure, which obviously comes with knowledge, it really empowers like all aspects of your life, like whether it's your social, family, business. And of course, the main thing that it's trying to do is empower your spiritual life.
And what is your mission?
My mission is really simple. It's just to spread knowledge to whoever wants it. I guess it's like when you eat a really nice chocolate cake, yeah, the first thing you want to do is you want to share it with the people that you care about. You know, you're telling people, oh, you should try this chocolate cake, or you should try this restaurant. Okay, so it's a natural thing. So I guess what happens with spiritual knowledge is the more you get into it, the more you realize that people are unaware of it. So then you're just trying to spread awareness in whatever way you can.
In whatever way you can in whatever way you can create goodness in the world, right?
Yeah.
And when we talk about spirituality and we talk about religion, what is the difference between the two?
So simply put, religion is just an organized form of spirituality.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Organized form of spirituality.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
There was a lady. So she came across many different spiritual books. So she had like an idea in her mind of what spirituality was. So then she started inviting a friend, and then that one friend turned into 4 friends. So then they decided, let's make this like a weekly thing that we gather together. And then she wanted to feed them. So then she had to decide what she wanted in her menu, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, and then she had to decide what topic she wanted to discuss. And then she wanted to spread it further. So she had to give her little gathering a name. So you've just formed a small religion.
Ah, okay. That's a good way of putting it, actually. I would have never thought of it.
Yeah.
And what is karma?
Karma is a system. Okay. It's a governing system, which has been put by God, the divine person, however you want to refer to him, right? It's a system that has been put by God to govern the way the world functions. And the main reason is, Puja, because we have something which is basically called a deviated ego. So what the deviated ego wants to do, the natural tendency is to exploit, right? I will exploit my worker if I can. I will exploit a waiter if I can. I will exploit a woman if I can. A strong woman may even exploit a man if she can. The point is that there's an exploitive tendency within a lot of people, right? Most people. So to govern that, you need a karmic system that you can't get away with it. You can get away with it for some time, but you can't get away with it forever. One day it's going to come back to you.
And does it come back to you immediately or does it take time?
No. Some things come back immediately. Like, for example, if I say something to someone, I might get something said back to me. But if I've affected something which takes time, or which has affected many people, it will take time. So, for example, if I rob like a bank,
Yeah.
right? And if I successfully do it, it's going to be some time before they gather the evidence, who's done it, create a file, and then just when I least expect it, right? Because I've robbed a bank with maybe some friends. Obviously, you need to, but it's going to be like the situation where I'm enjoying myself for like a week, two. I'm just like, yippee, I've got all this new money now. But a case is being filed, and all the evidence is being gathered. And it's only a matter of time before that knock or that break in the door comes and you're arrested. So karma works like that because karma affects so many people. It can't be just straight away. So the example I give, it's like an exam. When you go into like an examination room, they're going to ask you, let's say 20 questions. Now, it's not that you just answer the question and straight away the examiner comes and says, right, no, that answer's wrong, right? It'll let you finish those 20 questions. Then your paper goes back to that examination board. There's a marker. And then you get your result 2 months later. So karma works with that principle.
And do you believe that like your karma can be passed on to your next life also?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what karma works in kind of a cycle of 4 phases. In Sanskrit, they call that Gutta, Bija, Aprarabdha, and Prarabdha. It's a bit technical, but all it means, how I can translate that easily, is a tree grows in 4 phases. You have the trunk, you have the branches, you have the leaves, and then finally you have the fruit. So every one of us, before we're born, we basically, from our karmic stock, a certain stock is taken and put in our body, right? In the form of cells or whatever, you can call it. And then it's a mixture of what you will enjoy and what you will suffer in this lifetime. And then what we're doing in this lifetime, majority is basically creating karma now for the next lifetime. So what we're suffering today or enjoying today is not coming from this lifetime. It's actually coming from a previous lifetime. Like if someone is very good looking, just as a simple example, right? They're not good looking because they've done something in this lifetime. They were born that way. Their parents had certain genes, which, they just grew into beauty. If you're born into money, again, same principle.
Very interesting. I would have never thought of putting it in that same way. And do you believe in reincarnations? I'm assuming you do because we've just spoken about it.
Yeah. I think here's the thing, right? Reincarnation is the understanding that makes most sense in terms of an applicable system, right? So why are some people born really in like an amazing situation, right? And I give like extreme examples, like someone is born in the house of like an Arab, like to a sheikh, right? And right now, like the whole Middle East is going through like a really good period economically, right?
Yeah.
So imagine you're born as a sheikh in Dubai. You've got a lot of resources at your disposal. And then unfortunately, you may have someone born in a slum, surrounded by like diseases, poverty, all those things. So how do you explain that? So either you have to say that there is no God and then this world just works at random. Or you say that God likes some people and he hates some people. But then based on what? Right? If you say you only have one life. So the only explanation is karma and then therefore reincarnation. That at every point when you die, right, you're leaving with 2 things. The credits, which you call good karma, right? And desires. So as we're moving along in our life, we're creating so many desires without realizing, right? Like even if I look at a Bentley or something and I'm just like, oh, I like that, right? I've just created a desire in my desire field that's something I want in the future, even if I can't afford it right now, right? For a bloke, it might be like a Bentley. For a girl, it might be a purse or whatever, right? Like it doesn't matter. So as time is going on, we're just creating more and more desires, right? That's the natural thing. You see things, you hear things, and you want it. So when we pass away, our good karma and our desires are coupled together and they go into our stock. And then it's decided that, all right, in this lifetime, you will take this much of your stock. And this is the combination that you will get in this particular lifetime.
So if you're good karmas, if you're given a certain good karma, then you're given those desires also, the ones that you're talking about, you're given those in the next life also.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have to work for them.
Yeah.
But the conditions are such that you will work for them.
Would you say that a desire and trying to manifest something would be in the same category then?
Manifestation is just you're hacking desires. You're fast tracking them.
You're bringing them closer to you
You're
quicker.
just bringing them closer. But point is that, see, this is the interesting thing. People talk about manifestation, which is fine. It works to a certain extent, but it doesn't work perfectly. It never will. Because the thing is that, let's say everyone decides, 99% of the people, when they say manifestation, they want more wealth. Right? That's just the reality of it. It could be in different forms, a bigger house, better this, better that. Right? But if everyone became a millionaire, no one would be a millionaire, right? So the thing is that you're always going to have, like, you can manifest certain things, but that's already within your karmic stock. You're just manifesting what's already there. You're not manifesting something new.
So you can't basically manifest something new if you really wanted something that was like completely, like, for instance, a guy who's walking on the street is like, I want a car. Like, I wish I had a car.
Yeah, and he can. So then he has to do two things. Either if it's already in his karmic stock, then he can manifest it. And the other thing is he can increase his piety. So he can do like a lot of good deeds.
Okay.
And those good deeds basically will increase, like, you can say good karma, and then they can manifest whatever those desires are.
Interesting. A lot of people, they get disappointed by religion because there's a lot of greed, there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of things that happen under the name religion that can be really misconstrued and can really put somebody off. It's be like, you know what? I'm not religious. I don't believe in any God. I don't believe in any religion. Yeah. I believe I'm a spiritual being. I follow my path, or I'm an atheist. What is it with this that you would be able to give some insight into?
See, I think the problem is we often go to religious institutions for spiritual knowledge and growth. And it's a double-sided sword over there. Because every institution that I know has a certain level of corruption and misrepresentation and politics, right? It's just the word institution. It literally will become that, over time, okay? If it's new, it might not suffer from it so much, but eventually it will suffer from it, okay? But there's a saying, institutions, even spiritual ones, are a necessary evil. Okay? But the thing that we don't go to is actually sources of knowledge. We go to institutions, and that's where we get disappointed. Whereas I would suggest to people that you should go to an institution because it will help you to a certain extent, but more importantly is go to sacred texts and learn those. Then you won't be as disappointed. Then your spiritual journey will be actually a much more deeper one. It'll be one of more wisdom than getting embroiled in politics and all these kind of things. So it will happen. You'll go to an institution, you will come across politics, you'll come across people that will disappoint you. Someone will be clad in like amazing clothes, right? Or like white, kind of like white saffron, blah, blah, blah. And you'll think, oh, these are like literally God's men. And then they'll do something which even you wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Right? And then you get disappointed. But the thing is that what your mind basically does is it basically says that I don't want to be that because I'm not that. Right.
Yeah.
So then basically, what's the point of me going through the spiritual practice if that's what I'm going to end up doing? So then you move away from the institution. But the thing is, did you go to the institution for wisdom or did you go there for like the external stuff? A lot of people get caught up in the external stuff.
And I agree with you because, a lot of people get caught up in the community,
Yeah.
the other types of seva that they end up doing
Yeah.
instead of actually doing the seva of, like, at the end of the day, you're going there for one and one purpose only,
Yeah.
to connect with God,
Yeah.
right? To connect with your religion, to find your religion, to find yourself in a way. And then you go there and you almost get lost again in a certain way.
Yeah, you can. The thing is, the sincere people will see through it because if those institutions offer real kind of like root wisdom, they have to offer root wisdom. A lot don't. See, a lot of communities, they're 90% more about the community and 10% about wisdom. So then what happens is you're gonna end up just in a sense of community, people, nature, all these things.
Yeah.
Whereas there are some institutions which are the opposite. They're more about the learning, and then the other stuff is just a byproduct.
And what kind of texts, when you say you read texts, what kind of texts do you read?
Right now, because I've been doing this for some time, I kind of read like more technical texts. So for example, at the moment, I'm studying something called the Sanatan Dharmas, which were written by someone, a very ancient personality called Jiva Goswami. So Jiva Goswami is considered to be one of the most like prolific scholars of ancient Vedic texts. I didn't start there. I started with the Bhagavad Gita, which for me is the most foundational text because a lot of people think Bhagavad Gita, oh, Hindu, but it's not. The word Hindu is actually mentioned in no Vedic scripture.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the word Hindu doesn't even exist. It just means that those people who lived on this side of the Indus Valley were called Hindus, and somehow that turned into Hindus. So actually, the most ancient reference to people coming from the Indian subcontinent, broader speaking, is called Sanatan Dharma, which literally means eternal religion, for lack of a better translation.
Oh, wow. I had no idea about that.
Yeah. So Sanatan Dharma, because the idea is very simple. If God is eternal, then spirituality has to be eternal. The minute you have an ism that, all right, this ism came into it 2000 years ago, right? Like some people have this idea that only this ism is the way to God, right? And then you ask them, so how long has your ism been around? And they say, oh, 1,500 years, 2,000 years old. So then you're like, all right, so then that means that humanity was in the dark for like all these years and God had no system for emancipating people.
I know, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So the thing is, Sanatan Dharma it's actually just a code,
Yeah.
right? It's a code of understanding that wisdom is eternal. So even in fact, the Bhagavad Gita is generally eternal wisdom. Shri Krishna actually told Arjun that this was explained to me at the dawn of creation. This was explained by me at the dawn of creation, but then this knowledge got lost. So I'm just reintroducing it to you.
And the best way for somebody to pick up a Bhagavad Gita and read it is it's been translated in English also.
Yeah. So I suggest that reading is good, but a lot of people, especially today, they can't actually seem to go through that text. They look at the book and get scared.
Yeah.
And that's also a problem of our generation, right? Like we're not readers and everything's short. Like show me a 20-second reel, right? Show me like a 1-minute video.
Yeah.
The mind is not capable of focusing on something for a period of time. Hence, what I tell people is you can read it for reference, but you have to study the Bhagavad Gita under someone who's qualified. Don't just pick up and read it because you won't get very far and often you'll just have more questions.
So how would one study the Bhagavad Gita then?
So like, for example, I've started, it's not me personally. In fact, it was interestingly like my daughter, she's 17, and my friend, they got together and they said, let's start like a Bhagavad Gita kind of course on Thursday evenings, right?
Wow.
And I'm mainly leading it. But they said like so many of the community are asking for this, that, who will teach us? So we did our first session, but it came about spontaneously. And also I've been teaching these texts for about like 15 years now, like to people. So I have a bunch of people coming on weekends and we just go through it. But we go through it in a kind of like, it's fun, it's interactive. So even this session is called Gita and Giggles, just to let people realize that it's not like some, very, very over serious thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to learn definitely, but it's going to be with like a fun group of people. And yeah.
Yeah. How nice. Should we be fearing God?
You start with fearing God, and eventually you should just completely go to pure love. It's like this. When you're a kid, you fear your dad because your tendency to do things which are wrong are very high, right? You put your hand in a fire, right? You grab a knife, right? So the parents are a little bit strict with those things. They're loving, but there's a certain sense of fear. Oh, if you do this, daddy will get really angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's when you so there's that little fear in children. But as they grow older, the father, right, if he's a good father and present, they're just like he's a friend. He's a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
So then it turns into pure love.
Yeah.
So that's how one should progress spiritually, that initially there should be fear. Because when you do things wrong, the karmic system created by him is there basically to pinch you, right? And to put a finger at you. But when you start actually living life fully aligned with spiritual values, then there is no fear.
Yeah.
Right? And then what happens is now you access the person behind the karmic system. And that person has been penned as all love. That love is so deep, Puja, that it's difficult to understand, because even a mother's love, right, which is so pure, doesn't even come close to it.
I believe that kids are sometimes our biggest teachers. They have so much wisdom, especially when they come into this world. They're almost like innocent. They're still learning, but they're also still unlearning and relearning, and trying to adapt to a new belief system. How do we, as parents, nurture our kids to become good human beings, guide them through religion and spirituality also?
Both of my children, so my daughter's 17, and my son is 15. Their nature is very different, right? So my boy is very laddish. Like he's just cars, very like, doesn't fear anything, but he's very playful. He likes to have fun. So, and my daughter's like kind of very quiet, contemplative, thinks deeply about stuff. So what we did from a very early age, and my wife Runa has like a massive part to play, right? Like mine is small. When it comes to this bit, kept taking them to spiritual places, like especially like Vrindavan, kept exposing them to the temples and especially the sages of that place, the really good ones.
Yeah.
Right. And what happened was, without us pushing them, right, or forcing them to do anything, they just have connected so deeply that they themselves want to go. So I remember this incident in 2023, April. We were in Vrindavan. Plan was 10 days in Vrindavan, then 5 days Udaipur holiday, right? Because we were living in really austere conditions, right? Relative to what I'm used to or what we're used to. So it's like 4 of us in just one room, right? There's no space in between the beds to move even, right? And it's just because we had a house. We bought it from someone who's really small and whatever, right? And so the thing is, and it was really hot outside, and I told them that 10 days and then we're going to go to like Udaipur and we're going to stay in a nice hotel, blah, blah, blah. After 10 days, when I basically said that we're going to Udaipur tomorrow, I just reminded them, they both became very emotional.
They didn't want to leave.
No, they're like, we don't want to leave.
Wow.
So this is a testament to that. If you expose children in the right way, they will connect to spirituality because they're already quite innocent, right, in their own way. So the fact that they didn't want to like go towards like, that very luxury, because they know what luxury is, right?
Yeah.
To a certain extent, but they didn't want that. they were just like, cancel it, call the travel agent right now. They were so serious about it, and they got angry with me that I wasn't able to, like, get a refund and cancel the whole Udaipur part of it. So that's what's worked. And also the second part of that puja is you have to give them love. In modern times, I think what happens is people get so busy, especially like in the Kenyan society we live in. You can get so busy, caught up in yourself. Have work to do. You want to go and do this. You want to go play paddle. I'm just saying, like, you want to go play golf. You've got your social life and everything. And then you've got other people to bring up your own kids. But then your kids will always not have that ground nurturing which parents are able to provide. So I think that's also important, that when you give them love, then they easily listen to the values and the wisdom that you're able to give them. And and also text, just expose them to like wisdom daily basis, small snippets.
Like we do, so we do seva every day together, and they know, and they have their days where the boys will do the seva, they'll sing the prayers, they'll do all of that. But the text thing I haven't done, and I think that I think I need to do that. I need to expose them to the text.
Yeah, so it's and in fact,
I think their fear is, well, we have so much other stuff to read and study. We don't have time to study this.
No. So what I would suggest is you don't do the texts until a certain age.
Okay.
So like my daughter is 17, she's doing texts now. What we used to do is tell them stories, because the texts have real stories.
Yeah.
Right? Which imbibe the philosophical part of that text. So if you just tell them like fun stories, whether it's of like Hanumanji or whether it's of like something which is like real life, it could be ancient, it could be modern, but those stories basically stick in their brains much more.
And that's true. My mom is obviously like, she's like the messiah of these stories. Like she comes here and she's like super dramatic, and she tells them all these stories. And whenever she's looking after them, they hear all these stories and all these pastimes, and then they come and tell me, Ma, Nani told us this story and this story, and then they remember every single detail. And you're right, that's how they remember.
Yeah. So like this month, for example, if you are like coming from the Sanatan Dharma tradition, this month is called
Kartik.
Right? So in Kartik, what is Kartik? It's a celebration of a pastime of little Krishna, right? Now, my children have known about this pastime because it's just so easily presented that he was naughty, and kids are naughty, so they can relate. Right? So he was going to every house and stealing butter and whatever. And then all the gopis were coming and complaining that, this is what your son is doing. But they used to love it. Those complaints weren't real complaints.
They weren't, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, it was just an excuse to see him again.
Yeah.
Right? So they used to go to the house. And anyway, so she decided to tie him up one day. And this is the interesting bit. Like every time she was trying to get enough rope to tie him, it was always 2 fingers too short.
Yeah.
Right? And what do those 2 fingers represent? One is the endeavor of the spiritual practitioner to bind God, like, I want you. When you try enough, the second finger represents his willingness. You can say his mercy, that, okay, now I can be bound because I've seen that there is sufficient effort from your side. Those kind of things, when you tell children that, okay, at a certain age, maybe when they're 7 or 8, they start getting it, that those 2 fingers represent the endeavor of the devoted person, the devotee. And the second, to complete it, requires also the mercy of God, the sanction, that, okay, you can bind me now, right? Because he saw that his mother started sweating. So he said, oh my God, she's trying so hard. And that's how we have to be. We have to try. Spiritually, you can't just, sometimes I say, you can't just do something so small like, all right, I'm going to offer a lamp every day. It's better than nothing and it's nice. But you have to make an endeavor. The Lord has 2 sides of him. There's one side which is called Leela. That's his real play. That's how he is with his family.
Yeah.
So I give an example, like when you can be a big man in this world, you can be a president, right? You can be Barack Obama, right? Like you can be Trump, okay, but I like to give the example of Barack Obama because, like, he's a little bit more polished. But you can be the world's most powerful person, and at one point you can be giving an excuse. You can execute an order that go and invade this country, go and blow up like this, whatever, nuclear facility. But when you go home, your children are going to shout at you that you're late, and your wife is going to tell you off. So God has both facets.
Yeah.
God has this facet where he is worshipped as God, God the Great. But then suddenly, when you go to this level of devotion, spirituality, which is so unknown to most people, he just becomes a family member. He's yours to play with.
Yeah.
If you have pure love, he will do what you tell him. If you have pure love, right? If you're conditioned and then you try and control him, no way.
Yeah.
Right? If you've got all these other agendas going on and you try and control him, he will be the most, powerful person that you can ever come across. So in this respect, he was at one point he was like crying, like, oh my God, my mom's tied me.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's called Leela. That's his play with his family.
No, that story is very beautiful. It's one of my favorite stories to actually share with my kids and my family all the time. And I remember even as a child, I remember that story so well, watching it and hearing about it and learning about it. Do you meditate?
I personally, yes, but the meditation I do is a little different. What I do is something which is called japa. Japa means you essentially chant a mantra. So I chant what is called the Hare Krishna mantra. Because in one very ancient text, it's mentioned that in this day and age, actually, it's in Kali Yuga, it's supposed to be the most powerful mantra to access your spirituality, to access, God. So I chant that. So whilst you're chanting, it aids a lot in meditation, because otherwise, inexperience and in text, it's very difficult to meditate without the aid of a mantra. It's almost impossible. You can do it for some time. The problem is, as soon as you stop meditating, you go back into the world, the same things start coming into your mind again.
And it's probably one of the easiest mantras to actually use to meditate, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anyone can just pick it up and do it. I think
there's a technique to do everything for like maximum, results. You can do everything in the right way and you can do everything in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, but this is not exactly what you just said. It's not difficult to do it. Just create space for yourself, go into like that meditation mode, and you meditate on the meaning of the mantra and then the murti of the mantra. That's the most important thing, because every mantra has a murti, right? A specific deity which that mantra is trying to reveal. And then what happens is, then you can actually, when you access that murti, then your meditation goes on to a different level. Then you're actually meditating.
My mom practices something called tratak. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. And she taught us how to do that. She's taught the kids how to do that. So we use that as especially as a family, we do it together. So we put on a mantra.
Yeah.
And we'll have it playing at the back, and then we look at the candle, and then and they like it because it's almost like a competition for them. They're like, how long can you keep your eyes open and let the tears fall?
Yeah.
And then they close their eyes and then they sit there till the mantra finishes, till the chanting finishes. And then they're like, okay, are we done now?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get them to practice meditating also, and sitting in silence and just sitting in stillness and just being in calm.
Meditation is a great thing, because when the mind is active. And right now, we've got many ingredients which make it super active. So we've got daily stuff, which always used to happen, right? You go to work in your way, your husband goes to work in his way. So that creates activity, right? In the mind, have to do this, have to speak to this person, all of that kind of stuff. But then we've got another layer. We've got the layer of social media.
Yeah.
And almost everyone does it. So that's scrolling. Let's see what's happening in the world, right? And because it's so fast, right, we're absorbing a lot of information in a very short space of time. So we've got that, and then obviously social. So when we put all of that together, the mind is very racy. Meditation basically slows that down. The only thing that I can add to that is that if you use mantras, it actually pierces much deeper than if you just meditate just alone and slow your mind down and say, right, I'm going to concentrate on a particular like object. Yeah.
And what is singing, like chanting, but like singing kirtan? Because I know you're also very known for that. Is the kirtan and all of that. What does that do to us?
I think music is just something very beautiful. It's any art, right, is beautiful. Paintings are beautiful. So what that does is music naturally, like it really kind of plays in your mind. Like you hear a nice song and you can see that it plays for like, days and days in your mind, and you keep humming it and singing it and re-listening to it, right? So it opens up like a center. So the way I like to kind of think of it poetically is that there's like a lotus in your heart. And every time you listen to like beautiful music, it kind of opens up that lotus. But most music that people listen to, it's not of divine origin. It's just music, right? And so what you find is that it's just opening and closing. But what spiritual music does is when your lotus is opening, you put a seed in it, a spiritual seed in it. And then even so, when it closes later on, right, something is germinating inside, something very beautiful. And then over time, that starts like a tree or a plant or something that starts manifesting into something. So all you're doing is that you're combining mantras with music, and it's just a much better way of expression. The other thing is also, like right now, if me and you just sat and try to do japa, right? Like you might be in a good space, but I might be really frustrated because of something that's just happened, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm tensed about something. Minute you go into kirtan, there's so many people's energies, and that other person's energy, your energy, could lift mine, right? So I'm not feeling it alone, I won't feel it. But if there's 100 people all singing at the same time, it's such a beautiful experience. So even if you're not feeling it, doesn't matter. You will get lifted because of the energy of other people. So it's like a unison. In unison, you're calling out to the divine that, where are you? We are here. Let's connect.
I love singing. I don't sing like publicly or anything, but I love singing, but I only sing when I pray.
Yeah.
And what it does, it really connects me to me. It connects me to my soul. It connects me to God, and it's my way of connecting to Him.
Yeah.
It's a very special moment.
Yeah, it is for everyone. And you see, again, you might not think that you have an amazing voice, but you're still using that voice to connect.
Yeah.
And see, here's the thing. God never looks at the externals. In fact, he doesn't even touch him. So there's a little story of like Sudama, a very poor person, right? He didn't have money. And so he wanted to go and see Krishna when he was like the king or the prince of Dwarka, right? So his wife said, go and see him because you're so poor, like maybe he can help you out in some way. And he was just like, look, whether he helps me out or not is secondary. Let me just go and see him. It's been so long. And she goes, you can't go empty-handed. So she basically took like a little thing of like flat rice, which we call poha,
Yeah.
right? And she said, take this with you. Now on the journey, right, which took like a month, some days he was putting it in his armpit, right? In those days, you don't have roll-ons, take it out, put some roll-on on and put that whole thing down.
Yeah.
So when he eventually got to like Dwarka and he presented it, right? Actually, some of the queens started like blocking their nose, like, what the hell is this? Like, it's so disgusting. It's stinky. But the aroma which entered into the nostrils of Sri Krishna was something so beautiful and fragrant because he smells love.
Love. Yeah.
Right? It's impossible for him to smell all the external bacteria and all that stuff which would have gathered there.
Yeah.
His senses operate very, very differently. So even if you make the worst of food, but it's offered with love, he'll eat it.
Yeah.
If you have the worst of voices, but there is love, right? He will hear something very different, right? So it doesn't matter like whether you're ugly, whether you're fat, whether you can cook, whether you can sing, all these things are very secondary things. There's only one thing that will connect you to him, and that is the condition of your heart.
Oh, it's so true.
Yeah.
So can spirituality help with mental health conditions and physical health conditions?
Yes and no.
Okay.
You have to be of that level of faith.
Mm-hmm.
So I know of 2 cases in very recent times. There is someone who has entered into such a deep state of spirituality, you can call it, or even bhakti, right, with the Lord, that they, about 15 years ago, they broke their leg, right? And the family took them to the hospital. And he just said, look, why are you guys bringing me here? It's his play. He's just playing with me, right? When he wants to play with me again, he'll fix it. And literally without any operation, 3 days later, it just got fixed.
Wow.
And this, amongst that circle, this story went like, but he has this level of faith. He's operating very differently, right? He sees everything in divinity. And a similar thing happened to someone in Vrindavan. He's a sage, he lives alone, but he operates so deeply on that level. But if you don't operate on that level, then do what's practical.
Wow.
So like Prahlad, right? We see the story of Prahlad. His dad tried to kill him in so many different ways. Nothing would affect him because his faith was so deep. But like for someone like me, right? Like my faith may be there, but it may not be like theirs. So if I'm affected either physically or mentally, I will do something which is practical, right? For me. So if I break my leg, I might look at him and say, thank you very much. I wonder what you want me to learn from this. I'll say thank you sarcastically, but lovingly, I'll be like, all right, now, what do you want me to understand? Or I'll understand that this is my karma, it's coming to me. So I'll go to the hospital and get it fixed in the normal way, right? And that's what I would recommend to majority of the people. But I just wanted to highlight that there is another side, which if you're literally of that level, things can happen which are not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I always believe that if something bad was supposed to, like, it's always one of those things when you feel like you're a religious person and you're spiritual, something bad was happening to me. I feel like something worse was supposed to happen to me. But because I'm religious, because I'm spiritual, I feel like Krishna said, okay, you know what, she still has to pay this debt back. So we'll make her pay it back, but not that extreme way that, to make it worse. Or something bad is happening today, but maybe right now it feels like it's bad.
Yeah.
But it might be the better choice for me for my tomorrow.
Yeah. So I think that understanding is amazing, because if someone can gain that understanding, it's actually technically very sound and it's emotionally also very good. There was a little story of two friends, right? They both went to school together, and this is not so many years ago, right? I'm always looking for these kind of stories of recent times, because problem is if I say 5,000 years ago, oh, mythological.
Yeah.
So recent, very recent, two friends, they grew up together. And so one of them went into spirituality, they went into bhakti. And the other one went completely the opposite way. His thing was just go to like brothels, go to earn as much money as possible and enjoy yourself to the maximum, right? In that way. So whenever they would meet, right, the friend that went into spirituality, he didn't have much. He didn't have a lot of money. He didn't have lots of friends. He didn't have a lot of things going for him. A lot of faith though, and the other one was just chilling. His life was like, was going for it.
Yeah.
So he used to tell him, "What are you doing?" He's like, "God doesn't want you to live this kind of life because." I don't believe in him that much, or I believe in him, but I don't even care. And look at what my life is. Come, I'll show you my side of life. It's amazing. And he said, look, it's fine. I'm happy that you're happy, but it's not my path. So anyway, one day they met in town. Again, same little conversation happened that, why are you living this kind of life? So after they parted ways, it started raining very heavily. And one friend, as he was walking, there was like a plank of wood with a massive nail. So he put his big toe right into it. Yeah, because it was raining. It started to get dark. He couldn't see it. He was bleeding so much, right? So he first, he literally ripped off like a cloth, right? And he tied it. Blood didn't stop. Then he ripped off his shirt, right? Again, tied it again. Still wouldn't stop. Finally, he was wearing like a pagri, right? Turban. So he took that off literally and tied it around his foot. And finally the bleeding stopped. But he had bled so much, he was just lying there. He was in pain and he lost a lot of blood. And somehow his friend remembered that he actually had to do something on that part of town. So he went and he saw his friend there. And he's like, what the hell happened to you? So the friend told him, this is what's happened. And so he took him to his house and he said, do you see what I keep telling you? He's like, when we left, I was asking you, where are you going? And you said, I'm going to the temple. And I told you I'm going to the brothel, right? And you're going to the temple and look what happened to you. And then he said, by the way, when I actually went on my journey, look what I found. And he pulled out of his pocket, right? Like gold coins, right? Like real, actual gold coins. And he's like, do you see what I'm getting in my life? And what are you getting? You're getting nails and I'm getting gold coins. Wake up, understand something. His friend, when he heard this, his friend's faith wasn't broken. But he just kept thinking that, why does it work like this sometimes? Like, you go into spirituality and it's almost like everything happens the opposite way, right? And some people who don't care about spirituality, goodness, God, all these things, their life seems perfect. I get asked this question often. So I kind of relate this story. And so then he went to his guru. And his guru was what they call a Siddh Mahatma. Siddh Mahatma means a perfected being who sometimes has access to like visions that people don't. And he had the ability to access Akashic records, right, through his vision. So he says, look, I haven't lost faith, but why is this happening? So his guru went into like a state of trance, and then he opened his eyes and he said, listen, he says, I know everything is happening the opposite way, but I can tell you this much. This is your last life. What you murdered someone a few lifetimes ago. You and two other people, you got together and you murdered someone. And what just happened to you, right? The nail in your foot, that was actually the karma of your murder, but it's been reduced because of how much spiritual practice you do.
Wow.
He said, okay, fine, but then what about my friend? He goes, according to his astrology, right? He was supposed to become like a billionaire, like that rich. But because he's been so sinful in his life, right? They've actually just given him a fraction of that in the form of what he just received, those gold coins or whatever, and he's done with it. That's his last stock of money coming in.
Imagine.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely believe that. This podcast was created to remind you that we are all on this wellness journey together. If you're enjoying these conversations here, I'd love for you to subscribe, share, and spread this love. Your support means the world to us, and it really helps this community grow. With gratitude, lots and lots of love, always. Is there anything today that you think we haven't spoken about that really, really needs to be spoken about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what's really important is for those people who have a leaning or a birth within Sanatan Dharma, it often becomes very confusing because Sanatan Dharma has many gods. All right? And it becomes confusing. Or some people worship Ganesh, some people worship Lord Shiva. Then we had Navratri recently, so Devi Ma comes into it. Then Krishna, then Ram, and for most Hindus, they go to their temple and they see like an array of gods, and they're like, who are they? As in, they might like a particular one because that's their family belief. And when you're young, you really connect. Because your childhood is filled with happy memories. So when you do like all these celebrations, you connect with them, but often that's because of childhood, right? Just because of happy memories. And of course, like, you worship them, you do have a connection with them. But then people are like, why do we have so many gods? And some people now in the modern generation are beginning to reject a lot of these ideas, a lot of the rituals behind them as well.
Yeah.
So just something that I think that the audience could keep into mind is that actually Sanatan Dharma only has one Supreme Lord. So there's a saying, Eko Brahma Dvitiya na asti, na bhuto na bhavishyati. That God is only one. Dviti na asti. It's not two.
Okay.
Right? Na bhuto, not in the past and nor in the future will there ever be the situation where we've just gone from one God to two gods or two gods to one God. Right? So actually there's only one Supreme Lord. But the Vedic scriptures explain very beautifully what the position of each person is in relation to that one Supreme Lord. And it doesn't do so in a way which says, all right, so we're belittling your belief. Right? They do it in a very beautiful way. And I always explain, like, you have a king. That king is the king. And then you have like a lot of like ministers and other people who are in power. Those people have a very important role to play. So for example, just not a lot of people know this, but Ganesh is not the name of a person. It's the name of a position. And how do we know this? Because it is actually mentioned that Ganeshji was present at the wedding of Lord Shiva and Parvati. So then that means that what? They had a child out of wedlock.
Yeah.
Which is impossible in the Vedic culture.
Yeah.
Right? In those times. So then you realize actually that there's another Ganesh that came later who was their son who actually took the position of Ganesh.
Okay.
Right? So that's just a little idea, Puja, into just trying to understand that Vedic knowledge is very, very vast. You've got Shrutis, you've got Smritis, you've got Puranas, you've got Vedanta Sutras. The way that Vedas present themselves is that you have to study them. That's all I can say, right? Without going into like so much depth, you have to study them entirely. Because remember, they're trying to talk to a huge audience. So what the Shiv Puran will do first is, okay, you believe in Lord Shiva. Here's the Shiv Puran for you. Believe in him fully. Here's how amazing he is.
Yeah.
Right? But it will give you hints about some other things which you may not know about him.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you believe in Mataji, then it will give you the Devi Bhagavad Puran. Right? But it also mentions in the Devi Bhagavad Puran that, by the way, she herself is saying even Lord Shiva has parents. So it will glorify Lord Shiva, but it will tell you there's something maybe even more superior than Lord Shiva. And then that, if you read carefully, will make you think, aha, there is something, right? And also Lord Shiva goes into a trance and meditation. Who does he meditate upon?
Yeah, true. Exactly. He's always meditating. Who does he meditate upon?
So all these hints are actually given in the Puranas, and it's mentioned that these are written for people of different levels. You can't have one shoe which fits everyone.
Yeah.
So it's trying to cater for every single person. Yeah, you can't go to a buffet and like invite international people and say, right, we're all just going to give you ugali and sukuma wiki.
Yeah.
We're going to give you, paneer
Yeah.
and naan.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Italians, here's some Italian food.
Yeah.
Right? For you, here's this kind of food. For Americans, there's burgers and chips.
Yeah.
But then if someone really asks, what is the best food for me? Yeah, forget being Italian or American or whatever. What is the best food for me? Then you can say, all right, this is the spread for those people who really care about wellness. These vegetables haven't been sprayed with pesticide.
Yeah.
Right? This is, you've got your karela in there, your bitter gourd in there. Right? So that's a starter because, it's bitter. It helps you with this. So there's a science behind that. So it's almost like that. The real final version of the Vedas will reveal itself if you really want to know the truth. But otherwise, what it does is it caters for everyone's needs.
How interesting. I think you need to start doing a podcast. And I think also you need to start doing it with giving these scriptures and maybe reading these scriptures out, because this is information that everyone needs. Like, I would love that, but I don't know if I have the time to read the scriptures.
So interestingly, I started one.
Yeah.
I just did my first shoot on Saturday.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
first one.
About this?
Yeah, literally. Like, I'm still thinking of a title.
Okay. Amazing. It'll come.
Yeah. So again, soul chocolate. I don't know.
No, but I think you should, because honestly, this is great information. Do you have any question for me?
Okay, I'll ask you two questions. What is your biggest spiritual inspiration?
What is my biggest spiritual inspiration? Okay, I think for me, there's many things that have really inspired me in spirituality. But I think for me, my biggest spiritual inspiration is the fact that I know I possess the power to believe that I come from love and I'm going to go back into love. And all that God is and all that he wants and all that he desires is love. And I am made of love. He resides in my heart.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else but love that can connect me to him. So for me, that is the most profound. Yeah, like if I want to connect with God, I just have to connect with myself and have to connect with the love in my heart, and I connect with him.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that. So that's the first question, which you answered nicely. The second question is that what is the one thing that you do every day that makes you feel connected to that love?
I every morning When I wake up, the first thing I do is I say a prayer before I put my feet on the ground.
Yeah.
A prayer to, first of all, to thank God that I'm alive, that I'm still living this beautiful life. I check my swar and then I put my foot down and then I say this little prayer to my Lakshmi. I ask God for permission to allow me to step on the ground. And then the next thing I do to really connect is I do Surya Puja. So I go down and I offer water to the sun god, and then I just connect to Mother Earth. I ground to Mother Earth. I sit there listening to the birds, listening to the bees, listening to the sounds around me, and just feeling completely fully embodied in myself and in the environment that I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, sure. This is turning into a podcast interview for me now.
which could be a good thing.
Yeah, it could be, right?
Yeah. Because you've got the experience of so many people talking to you. So you're like this wisdom center now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you don't have to answer if you don't want, but a couple of years ago, you went through cancer, right?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Do you think that experience has actually oriented you more towards spirituality than if it hadn't?
100%. Definitely. When I got diagnosed, I was already religious.
Yeah.
I was already feeling like I was there. I was spiritual. I was religious. I got really upset with Krishna. I really got upset. I was like, why me? Why are you doing this to me? I still remember there was this one day when I had a really disturbing call with the doctor in the US, and he really said some obnoxious things. Like, it's like you're just a number on their, on their list of patients that they're seeing. You're just a next. You're not really a human. You feel very like lost and confused. And I sat in the mandir and I cried my eyes out and I said to Krishna, why? Why are you doing this to me? I'm a good person. Why is this happening to me? Why are you punishing me like this?
Yeah.
I have little children. I haven't done anything wrong to anyone. Why are you doing this to me? And now when I sit here 4 years later, having a podcast, being a health coach, helping other people with their own cancer journeys, I see why he did this to me.
Yeah.
A bit like that guy you were talking about with the nail, I see why he did this to me. He did this to me because maybe in my past life, my karma, I had to pay some sort of debt. But from that, I have learned so much. I've become so much more connected with him. I have become so much more spiritual. I have not lost my faith, but my faith has even become even stronger.
And that's almost like, it's not what I wanted to hear, but I expected to hear that, because I guess when a lot of people go through stuff in their life which is heavy, the heavy karma, initially there is a period of like, your faith gets a little bit pricked.
Yeah.
Yeah. It generally always happens because it's always like, why me? Our ideal is to go through life perfectly and to die perfectly. That's what everyone wants. But for growth, that's not great.
Exactly.
So it's something that I expected to hear because you already have, like, I know a little bit, like, about your past, your family and, who you are, what kind of environment you've grown up in. So it was just, I was interested to know, like, what it was like in terms of your faith. You went through something which is very scary. Not everyone can go through these things. A lot of people who go through these things, as I'm sure you know better than I, they might end up breaking at some point. Because, like, for example, someone I know, she lost her husband, who was a big devotee of Krishna, and he died a little bit early.
Mm-hmm.
So she's really angry with him. She's just like, he was your devotee. Why couldn't you protect him?
Yeah.
But now, as she started to like study and to understand, she suddenly made like a huge shift. And she started to understand why certain things happen, because there's wisdom behind the faith.
Yeah, there has to be wisdom behind the faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, anytime there's anything that's happened or is happening even right now at the moment, I have so much faith that this is for my better. This is because I know that there is something better out there for me. There's something bigger and better to come. Yeah. And just having that faith in Krishna and in the divine is what keeps me going.
Yeah.
And I definitely need to have you again on the podcast. But thank you so much for today.
Thank you so
Thank you for spending this time with me and for imparting this amazing knowledge that you have. I always kept saying that Yadav has all this amazing knowledge, and I really want him to share it on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. And it's actually been nice. I forgot that there was this mic here and these cameras there.
I know, you forget.
To you.
Yeah, it's true, right? It's a very comfortable situation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.